sometimes Nike release a trainer which is hyped by them, released on a sneakers app because it is a hyped trainer, but really and truly it should have just been the GS. This is my opinion, but the fact is the way Nike released these kicks made you know this was a GS without having it being called a GS. We're talking about the Air Max 1 86 Big Bubble. If you don't know what I mean by GS, I mean general release. It should have just been released to the general public for everyone to get hold of, not on a sneakers app, not on raffles, not anything like that. It should have just been released. Now, let me give you a bit of history. If you haven't, you probably watched a lot of videos of these before, but this is my take on why this should have been a GS from the beginning. Now, the Big Bubble goes back to the original design of the Air Max 1. It was designed with a massive bubble in the heel. Technology back then wasn't good enough for it to survive. I think it started popping or it wasn't working properly, it was functioning. And what they had to do was reduce the bubble. And we have been living with the reduced bubble of the Air Max 1 ever since. On the 26th of March, every year, Nike do an Air Max 1 day. This year, 2023, they decided to release what we are calling the Big Bubble, or the Air Max 1 86, which is the original design of Big Bubble. But as technology has moved on, they're able to do the Big Bubble and release it to us now. So, March 26th turns round. Just before then, you've got it pinned up on a sneakers app. You've got raffles being released. Everyone's getting into the Air Max 1 flow. And sneakers released the Air Max 1 on Big Bubble. I think a lot of people copped raffles. A lot of people copped. I managed to cop on a raffle. I'll talk about that later. And then on the same day, Nike released the Air Max 1 on their general website. So you could pick this up on a Nike app. You could go to the Nike website and pick these up. So this is why I say this wasn't hyped. It was hyped in the sense that it was a new release in terms of, the original Air Max 1. But it shouldn't have been a hype. It should have just been, here you are, here's a GS. I'd say we'll get into this a bit later, but I'll confirm why this was a GS without saying it was a GS. Now, I was lucky enough to hit on a raffle from Offspring. When you went up there, Offspring done a massive board of the Air Max 1 day. It was great. It looked wicked. You got a tote bag, as you can see there, and it says, before the hype was a thing, which is a Offspring thing. Before the hype was a thing, everyone could get an Air Max 1. They've got their bubble, the colours of their Big Bubble, and it says Offspring at the bottom. You also got some literature. Now, I believe this is a publication by Offspring, and it's called How to Fail Forward. I think this is their full publication. So they collaborate with different artists and writers and things, and they show their stories. You got a big Air Max 1 86 bubble poster. On the back of that, you've got the Big Bubble photo there. You then got a massive book with pictures of the Air Max 1 inside it. So please read first. You then got 4 more articles or booklets with How to Fail Forward, written by different collaborators. So you had a Joshua Jarvis, a Michaela Green, and you had a Nigel Owusu with one of these books, and the title was The Big Bubble, and this was with Stevie Ryder. Now, those are pretty articles. I haven't had the chance to read them, if I'm honest with you. But what you also got was a little Offspring man. See? This looks like a 3D printing. Now, I think I remember just before Air Max 1 day, they put a competition out for, I could have this wrong, but I think they put a competition out for people to design something to go along with the Air Max 1 day. And this is what it comes in. It's like a 3D printed little man. When I picked up my Air Max 1s, they told me this was the last one there. So obviously a lot of people had collected the Air Max 1s, and they had a lot still waiting to be collected. So once again, another point why this was a GS without being called a GS. Now, the Air Max 1 itself came in this kind of retro box, which you can see it was black, but it's been scuffed off, and you can see, just to go back to being an 86 box where it's been roughed up in in the collection box. The first thing you'll note on the box is right there, you see they've cut out holes and put a thing in it, and it looks like the big bubble holes in there. There's 4 holes in there. On the top of the box, again, you've got a see-through swoosh, and that's got plastic there, see-through like the bubble. That 4 holes is on the back of the box as well, all where the heel is on the big bubble. And then you've got the usual branding, Nike there, Nike there on the side, and then all the Nike stuff underneath the box. But you know, and it's a flip lid box, opens like that. The tissue paper inside is what I call barbershop printing. You know, it's got those kind of barbershop swirls going through it. It's a beige and greeny kind of colour. And then inside there, you've got the big bubbles themselves. Let's talk about the big bubbles themselves. Now, first we've got to talk about, let's do what we normally do. Let's talk about the sole. You've got the original Air Max 1 sole. You've got the waffle kind of grip underneath there in black. Through the center, it's all white. You've got Nike branding. It says the word Air through there. On the heel, again, it's black with the grip, and on the toe, you've got a bit of red there to go over the upper of the shoe. Now, the midsole is completely white. You've got a massive big bubble there. I mean, let me show you the difference between this bubble and the Air Max ones we're used to. So as you can see, the bubble is significantly bigger than the original, Air Max ones we're used to these days. You'll also note the Air Max ones we're used to have lines going through the midsole which kind of stop like that. This one is completely smooth. You do have the 2 grits on the side, or 2 indentations on the side there, as you can see, which you do get with the normal Air Max ones there. So that's the difference between the original style Air Max 1 and the ones we're used to now. The upper is a woven nylon type material. Toe box has a bigger visible weave, and then you've got this kind of smooth, silky white weave around the ankle and just a little bit just near the swoosh itself. The overlays is a red felt and a grey felt. The swoosh itself is the red felt, and obviously the grey felt and the red overlays go around to the back of the shoe, where you can see sewn in there you've got the Nike branding and Air underneath as well. You do actually get the indentations in the midsole, but only on the heel of the midsole, as you can see right there. The big bubble itself covers literally the completely back of the foot, so it covers from your heel right down to the middle of your foot right there. The inside is again a felt material on the inner layer, and one of the things that makes it look like a sample is that it's got the size, your size, printed on the inner lining of the shoe as well. The inner sole is red. It's typical Air Max 1 inner sole. You've got the waffle bottoms underneath it, felt on top in red, and the Nike Air branding on the heel. You don't get any lace swaps with these, which you don't usually get with Air Max 1s anyway, unless there's a collab. The laces themselves are quite thin white laces, nothing really to write home about. They do feel quite soft, so I can imagine they're going to collect a bit of dust, bobbling when you use them a lot. The tongue itself has the webbing which you get on the toe box and a mix of the webbing on the ankle layer at the top. You've got the Nike tag dead center in the middle of the tongue with Nike emblem and the word Air Max written underneath in red as well. It's the classic Air Max 1 University red and white colorway. In terms of sizing, they're true to size. It's an Air Max 1. There's no going up or down. If you like it tight, then obviously you can go down half a size if you do it in your size like that. But I wouldn't go up a size or anywhere on an Air Max 1 because it's just going to be too big and you'll be slipping in the shoe. In terms of comfort, it feels definitely like an Air Max 1. It's not more comfortable because it's got, is that word, more comfortable? It's not, there's no extra comfort because it's got a big bubble. It just feels the same. It doesn't feel less comfortable than a normal Air Max 1. That's the only way I can describe it to you. In terms of weight, it feels exactly the same as an Air Max 1. When I talk about costing of trainers, I usually give a retail price because by the time I've done this video or a video or review a video, you could no longer get the trainers. You know, you probably were trying to get them and you're going to try and get them resale. This is why I say to you, this is a GS, but it's not called a GS, because you can walk into any shop now, literally, and these will be sitting there on the shelves. You might have difficulty getting your size, but they're sitting. They released so much of them, they're still sitting to this day, a month and a half later, just like normal GSs do. So, this is my point. These are going for £145, still in the shops, no resale value on them, nothing like that. It is a GS, if not by name. Should have been a GS when it released. And Nike have, I wouldn't say hype the trainer, they hyped the day with the trainer, but then turned this into, or tried to turn into a hype trainer, but then released so much more, it should have been a GS. I've said it before and I'm saying it again. Go and pick these up if you do like this colorway. If you like the Air Max 1 Comfort, again, I'd recommend this to you. If you like the Air Max 1 Silhouette, these are readily available because this was a GS. And Nike wouldn't call it a GS. So, this is my first of many videos I'm going to be doing where you can go and pick up the trainers now, even though they were hyped, released on the Sneakers app, but should have been a GS without being called a GS. Hope you enjoyed the video. What I would ask you to do is please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I know that a lot of people who watch my videos don't actually subscribe, so it'd be helpful if you did. And I thank you for watching, don't get me wrong, but also hit the notification bell so you know when I've uploaded new videos so you don't miss out when I do. So that's me, man. Patrick T. I'm out. Peace.